Okay, this is another update. I only have a few things installed, but basically I wanted to do kind of a informational thing here again too. I got the fender extensions in. We haven't mounted them yet, me and my mechanic. But and there I put the side steps that you can order online on, and got the Warn hubs installed. And I wanted to talk about this because a couple of guys asked about these in comments on mine and other people's pages. If you don't get lockout hubs, you people that already know, I'm sorry, but I'm going to explain it to the other people. When you're driving in too high, your wheels, when they turn the internal axle and differential in your front differential here the whole time you're driving. Well, that does two things. It causes you to have more drag and worse fuel efficiency, and plus it gives you the wear and tear on your differential and your axles up here in the front while you're just driving around in too high, going to the store, whatever you're doing, wherever you live. And then if you get these and install them and lock them out, it allows the wheels to turn without turning the inside, so you get better fuel mileage and less wear and tear on your front axle. So that's why we do those, for you guys that didn't know that. And I want to talk about, I got some larger turn signals. I ordered a horn and turn signal handle online on eBay. They're pretty cheap. The Willys horn kit is too small and won't fit inside the steering wheel that is installed for Mahindra. So that didn't work. However, the other stuff will. But what I wanted to talk about under the hood here, for those of you that either watched my other video or that know from some other source about the intake manifold problem down here, where it lifts up and then leaks the air out, and you lose pressure, and a safety mechanism turns your turbo off, and then you lose speed. So if you're driving on a regular street, you're going to have those problems. And after you buy and install the tie down that you can get from places like On the Rocks, it cures that problem. But there's a secondary problem. Now, I've replaced the stock piece of hose here with a reinforced, wire reinforced or net reinforced thicker connector to the intake manifold sensor down here, because after you do a stage 2 on here, and you'll notice I don't have anybody here to do this for me, and the old one's already gone, but the old one is so thin walled and flexible that as you give throttle and stuff, it blows up and contracts like a dang balloon. I mean, it actually increased in size by, I would have to say, a third, like a balloon, like this. And sooner or later, of course, with age and wear and tear on that old connector here, it would pop. I know it's going to pop because it's really thin, and it can't contract and expand like a balloon before sooner or later it's going to pop. So I put a net reinforced thicker one that doesn't do that expansion. Now, I want to mention that now that we've got no leakage at all with it bumped up, and plus I've added maybe a 6% power increase with the 2.5-inch exhaust. This thing really has some power now. I would guess maybe somewhere around 125 horsepower. But if you really super floor it when you're on the highway, it still is going to kick that safety in and cause you to lose acceleration. But you got to really put your foot into it now. This solved most of the problem. But I wanted to mention that. Now, I understand that you're going to add about 15% power by replacing the mechanical fan with an electrical fan kit. I'm going to do that, and it supposedly makes the engine compartment a little bit wider. Doesn't really matter, because once you put the 2.5-inch exhaust on, it's pretty loud. Now, other things that I've got also the spacers. They're going to come in today. I got the 2.5 inchers that are going to go on the wheels and bring these out 2.5 inches. I want to mention too that I've investigated this, and now that the 2019s have a option to get 30-inch tires, I looked around and did some studying, and if you just stay with your stock rims, you can get some 255/70 16s that are 29-inch tires. So it's going to give you like I don't know, a couple more inches in tire height, which of course is going to give you a couple more inches of clearance on your front and rear axles, and also give you a higher stance, and it'll look a little bit more like a regular vehicle because these smaller tires, these little oh, what are these from the stock? These are 235s. They look they make it kind of look a little go-karty, if you know what I'm saying. It kind of makes the stance of the vehicle a little small. So anyway, since the 30s on the 2019s don't have a problem, although a friend of mine put some 30s on his and he did have a clearance problem here on the corner of the bumper. But 255s are 29-inch tires, so you should be fine. And then once you put the spacers on here and higher profile tires, then you can do the adjustment on your steer to tighten up your steering a little bit better. There's a video here on YouTube that somebody else did on how to, I think Red, White, and Roxor, on how to adjust your steering radius. And you should do that after you put the spacers in, so that you're not so and so your steering's not quite as tight as it used to be. So other than that, I got the handle for the turn signals. We haven't installed that yet because we have to figure out the wiring, and the horn button doesn't fit, so back to the drawing board on that. Now there's another online guy that does modifications, and he's making a hard top boom box. Basically, it's going to be all speakers up in there. If you do a search, you'll find his website. I'm sorry, guy, whoever you are, I can't remember the name of your shop, but they're making a hard top that basically is nothing but speakers up in here, the whole top, like to blow your brains out. Speakers. But anyway, they show that they have replaced their windshield with a CJ windshield. Now I've been looking around, and pretty much I can tell you that these are basically brand new CJ7s, basically. And they're a little bit of a cross between a CJ7 and a CJ5, but I'm thinking the CJ7 windshields will bolt right on here. And I'm fixing to find out when I order that, because it's a little bit, the other parts, when I make a boo-boo, I've just been eating the costs of them. You know, I'm not still worried about sending them back, because I drive a truck for a living, and I'm not going to lay that on my mechanic to try to pack them back up and send them in and blah blah blah. I just figure if I waste a couple $100 on the wrong parts, I'm going to post that information on here, and then you guys will know. But I'm going to mention once again here that I'm completely dissatisfied with the stuff that you get from Roxor. Their windshield, their enclosure top, full enclosure top, their turn signal kit, which puts it up here on the dashboard, which makes it really inconvenient for when you're driving, and the horn also up on the dash. The windshield wipers that you can't even really fit. They send you a template on here to drill your holes, and unfortunately me and my mechanic, we did that first. We drilled these holes first, and then found out that now their video that they post online says to take this windshield off first and install it. But I mean, even if you install it with the windshield off and try to put it back on here, it's not going to go on. There's no way. You would have to cut pieces out of your dash up here to make those motors fit. So I spent with this windshield, the windshield wipers, this top, which in my and these funky ass off-road two fragile mirrors, I would say somewhere around $2,500, if not more. And it's a waste of money. It was money in the trash. You just order your own stuff online, what you can find, and check our videos from me and the other guys on here, the stuff that we've bought that fits, and go from there, because you're going to save more than double the money, and the parts will be right and they'll fit. So when I find out which CJ7 windshield fits on our units here, I'll let you know. Now here I want to mention too that I've gotten a couple of messages on my on my page with my videos from guys talking about this vehicle, and you know, it's an ATV and it's not made for this and it's not made for the street, and the engine, that 2.5 liter, blah 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 blah. This vehicle in India is used everywhere, just like a CJ7. Everywhere, street, freeway, off-road. This vehicle is made as a CJ7, basically brand new CJ7, and it's made for everything. It's made for the street, it's made for the off-road, it's made for everything, just like a Jeep is, because basically that's what it is, a Jeep. A brand new CJ7 is basically what it is. Now, if you're fortunate enough to live someplace like I do in Arizona, I'll try to get this without getting too intrusive into my privacy. But in Arizona, if you register your vehicle for priority on-road use, you will get an on-road sticker, and because it's an off-road vehicle too, you get an off-road sticker that allows you to drive anywhere you want to on the street and anywhere you want to off-road all the time. Now, if you live in a southern part of the United States state where there's a lot of people that retirees that move there, I'm sure the DMVs are going to be lax there like they are in Arizona, and you'll be able to register your vehicle for the street. And I'm registered and insured. I'll mention too that this isn't an ad for Geico, but Geico will insure your off-road vehicle for street use. And so I'm fully insured, fully registered for street and off-road use. And for those of you that have a question, I'm sorry, this is a brand new CJ7. If you equipped it thusly, you can use it anywhere you could have used a CJ7. That's the freeway, the highway, the street, the dirt, the mud, the rocks, wherever you feel like going, because this is basically a brand new CJ7. Now, and the other one that I had mentioned was the 2.5 liter turbo. This 2.5 liter turbo is available in this version of the vehicle in India, the Thar, and is used on the street, on the freeway, off-road, on-road, everywhere you want to go. There's nothing wrong with this engine, transmission, steel body frame, or steel body, fully steel box frame to go wherever you want to, on-road and off-road, just like a CJ7. All we have to do, and just keep checking with our videos, is find the parts to make it look and be a CJ7. And as soon as I find the windshield and the doors, and hopefully even the top. Now, I'll mention too that your rollover protection is going to have to be modified when you put the regular windshield on here. This bracket, maybe you'll have to turn and shorten the height, of course, because the windshields on a real Jeep aren't this tall. And once you cut off maybe a couple inches out of your frame all the way around, and put maybe a hard top on, or the other soft top from a CJ7, which will fit, I'm sure, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And that's what I plan on doing. I'm going to make this vehicle look like a CJ7, and you won't be able to hardly tell the difference. The only thing between this and a real CJ7 will be this is brand new, and the CJ7s, I think they stopped making them in 1985, 1987, somewhere around in there. But that's the only difference. So I got some larger turn signals, but even the way that Roxor, the dealership, put these little tiny ones, they're way up here high in the left. And even if I make the holes bigger, my turn signals are going to be too high and too far left on the headlights, and I'm not going to like the look of it because it should go down like around in here. So I will probably order the CJ Look grill from On the Rocks to replace this, unless me and I'll mention that me and a friend of mine, I won't mention his name unless he wants it mentioned, are talking about trying to get the original manufactured parts, the OEM parts from India over here for these older, even though these are brand new, this is a past year model of the Mahindra Thar in India. But in the system, in the supply system, of course, there's all the OEM parts for the older model Thars. Now, we can't get those parts from Mahindra directly. Mahindra is not going to sell us in North America any of the original Mahindra Thar parts because, you know, they have a factory over here and they're manufacturing these, number one. But number two is they really don't want the litigation problem. Fiat, Jeep, and before Fiat, Dodge, Chrysler, Plymouth sued Mahindra to keep these off the American market because it's basically a CJ7, only brand new. Well, they have lost both. Well, there's a temporary thing that's allowing them to put these out right now. But in 1991, the original thing was agreement between Chrysler, Jeep, and Mahindra was this grill. That's what they settled on. That as long as you had a different looking grill and you could tell it wasn't a Jeep, fine, sell your things as side-by-sides and we'll let you. Now, they didn't do it until last year, but and last year when they started, Fiat, who now owns Jeep, immediately launched a lawsuit to stop them from selling these vehicles. They came with a temporary agreement to allow them to sell these vehicles with the grill because of the old agreement from 1991, and with a stipulation that they're, you know, not a Jeep and that they're made for off-road. So us as the owners, though, we can modify these vehicles and make them on-road legal, which was what us guys are doing. So for you people that are confused or maybe think that it's not right or whatever, if your state allows it, you as the owner of this vehicle can make whatever modifications you want to and register to make it legal to register on the street. And these vehicles, despite the people that are doubting, are made for all terrain, including the street. So road, highway, off-road, dirt, mud, rocks, that's what the CJ7 is made for, and that's what you can use this brand new CJ7 for. Now, we call it a Mahindra Roxor, but it's basically a brand new CJ7. My brother, his brand new JK, like I said before, we measured front to back, axle to axle, hub to hub. This is exactly the same length as a two-door 2018 JK. That's because that's what it is. It's a brand new CJ7. Now, side to side, outside rubber to outside rubber, he was 9 inches wider. Now, with my 2.5-inch spacers and upsizing the 255 tires, we will be only, because the inside rubber to inside rubber was only 8 inches. So you take 5 inches off, we're only going to be 3 inches narrower than a brand spanking new JK. Now, you people that don't know what we spent, I'll run around a ballpark on you. My brother spent 43 and change on his brand new JK, 43,000 and whatever. Let's just say 43.5 on a 2018 JK. Now, with everything that I've done, including wasting my money on the stuff that you get from Roxor, I'm only into this for about 20 grand. So you get a brand new CJ7 for, I think the base price is now 17, 18, and 19 is for the 3 different stages, but let's just say you get the basic model because you're going to modify it. So you start out at 17, you put 3 grand into it, you're around 20. So a brand new Jeep costs you $45,000, base, pretty close to, when you can get a brand new CJ7 a la Mahindra Roxor and add your parts to make it street legal for around 20. Can't beat that with a stick. And I'll mention once again that I'm not having any problems on the road, the highway, the freeway, your RPM. Oh, also, if you upsize the tires, if you get some 255s for yours, checking that out with the tire shop and online, that will put your speedometer 6 miles an hour down. So when you're doing, for example, 60 on your speedometer, which is pegged, I might add, onto the speedometers here, you're actually doing 71 with the 255 tires if you upsize yours. So I'm wondering if we can go back to a Mahindra dealer and they can hook up to the computer and reprogram the speedometer, since now that it's an option to get the 30-inch tires. I'm wondering about that. And while we're on that, I'll talk about something else. On my Harley, when I changed the intake and the exhaust manifolds, I bought a chip that you put underneath the seat that hooks into the onboard computer for the Harley, and it automatically adjusts the ignition and the fuel mixture so you don't get the big large backfires, or maybe the smell of fuel coming out the exhaust that you would get after bumping up your intake and exhaust on your Harley Davidson. Well, online, available on eBay, is basically the computer controller that is made for this 2.5 liter turbo diesel. It's only $167. Now, you're also going to have to get the crossover, because another thing they did to make our Roxors different is the connector that's down here underneath the dash that they've installed is marine grade. Now, that means that it's not going to hook up to the standard automotive computer laptop in order to run diagnostics and change any settings. However, this unit, an automatic unit like I have on my Harley, that's on eBay for $167. If you get the adapter cable that you can buy online from other suppliers here for our Roxors, and put that in and then mount it up here under the dash where you can't see it, then while you're driving the whole time, it will adjust your fuel mixture and timing and everything else automatically, no matter what modifications that you do to the drivetrain. It's not going to reprogram my speedometer, of course, and we'll have to figure that out. I'm still thinking about somehow getting into this plastic sealed unit and tearing this peg off that pegs it at 60 miles an hour, somehow getting rid of it, because if you do, as you can see, if it pegs at 60, look at all the hash marks. It goes all the way to at least 70 miles an hour, if not 75, if the peg wouldn't stop it. And if I can have this reprogrammed, now that we're allowed by law to go 55 and with 30-inch tires, I'm sure that the Mahindra somehow has a way to reprogram this, or they sell a replacement. One way or the other, I'm going to get a replacement for this that's going to allow me to read the correct speed, so I don't have to use, because you can download an app, I'll tell you, on your phone, a GPS speedometer, that when you turn it on your phone while you're driving, it'll tell you from the GPS exactly how fast you're going. That's why I knew at 2,500 RPM, you're doing around 70 miles an hour in the current setup with the Mahindra. And that's not redline for you guys that are still, you're not supposed to use that off the street. On the street, yeah, you can use this on the street. It's a CJ7, you guys. And yeah, you can go 70, 75, 80 miles an hour in a CJ7 if it can do it. And this will, and it won't be redlined. You can stay under redline and do 70, 75 miles an hour in this vehicle. And it rides fine on the freeway, just like a CJ7 does. Now, the narrow stance, as you people that are older like me, you know that back in the 80s, some people wrecked in the Jeeps, and Jeep got sued, and that's why when they started widening the stance of the Jeep from the military Willys style to what we have now today, which is a pretty wide vehicle because of the rollover problem. Well, of course it's going to have a rollover problem. It's a Jeep. So people, like with most of the lawsuits, it's stupid stuff. I mean, the guys, you got a skinny vehicle that's made for all-terrain and you're doing 70 miles an hour, you know that if you oversteer real quick, you're going to roll. And it's probably going to kill you. So you don't do that, or you're careful. But accidents happen, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm going to widen my stance by 5 inches and a little bit more when I upsize the tires. And you're only going to be about 3 inches narrower than a brand spanking new Wrangler. So that's close enough. And with the other modifications, I'm going to go ahead and get the replacement shock absorbers that are available. And like I said, I'm going to get that unit. I'm going to order online a spark arrestor, because the 2.5 or the 2 inch and a 1/4 inch aftermarket exhaust that you can buy for your unit, you can get it with a muffler, but you can't get it with the spark arrestor. And the the Forest Service and most state areas that are made for off-road vehicles, and the BLM and all those places require spark arrestors on your vehicles that you're going to use off-road. So there are a whole bunch of people, you know, all the major muffler manufacturers make spark arresters in all different sizes of exhaust for vehicles, including diesel, you know. So I'm going to order one of those and then just go to a muffler shop now to put on. I ordered an exhaust tip because I was getting, it was a little too short where my mechanic cut it off, and downhill at an idle, when you're not forcing the exhaust out at speed, I was getting feedback in through the back of this enclosure and smelling exhaust fumes in the cab as I was going downhill, you know, with no throttle. The exhaust fumes were getting sucked back into the cab. So I went and got a tip. I got a 2.5 to a 4, the closest one I could find, but that's okay. That's what guys are doing on their pickup anyway. It makes big fat exhaust looking out the back. But that'll solve that problem. But anyway, I hope I covered some things for the people that don't own these yet and don't know a little bit about the mechanics and what a few of us are doing. But if me and my partner can swing it here shortly, we're going to try to sell the original manufacturer parts for the Mahindra that will fit right on here correctly, because I mean it comes from the factory, but it's going to be from a third party supplier in India. And then we'll be able to get the regular windshields, the regular windshield wipers, the regular doors, the regular tops that are made for this vehicle and won't have any fitness problems at all. And we're also looking at trying to get the snorkel kit. For you that want the snorkel kit on your vehicle, we're going to try to get those too. And the air conditioning and heating units that are from the factory, instead of the aftermarket crap that costs you $300 and $400, that it's available online. I mean, if you get the factory stuff and direct from India at the wholesale price, it's going to be still cheaper from India, and it's going to be the equipment that's made for this vehicle. And we're going to try to do that. And if we do, then hopefully pretty soon you'll be able to see an online catalog of parts and accessories that we can offer that are made for this vehicle. I'm hoping. We'll see. So stay tuned. And thanks for watching. Bye.